Hey, what's up? My name is Phil.
I'm Erika.
And today we are watching The Chosen, Season 2, Episode 3. Let's get into it.
But where would be a good place to start?
For you?
Yes, for me. The Law of Moses?
No amount of learning can bring you closer to God. Or make you more or less precious to Him. He's always right here, right now. With you. For you.
Present.
But I don't feel it. The feeling doesn't always come first. Sometimes you have to believe first.
Believing a thing does not make it true.
That is wisdom, but these are not just any words. They are David's in Scripture. Meditate on it for a few days and come back to me. You're always writing things down. Try writing it down several times. Something about writing it down that goes a long way.
That's what I say too.
Matthew, I think we've only just begun to know all you can do.
There have been over 60 people already, with 50 waiting in line currently, not including lepers and others who are still in line.
I would imagine more.
No? Yes.
How long is this going to last?
Well, it depends on each encounter you have.
Never mind, I get it. Almost a 4-hour walk this morning, and we didn't even have a moment to settle in. I mean, it's great what he's doing, obviously, but I wish it would have happened tomorrow.
What is happening?
What are we a part of?
Is it wrong to say I have no idea?
No, it makes me feel better.
I think that I haven't had time to think about it.
My whole life I prayed and prayed that he would come during this time. And I just hoped that I would at least get to see him. But to be close to him like this, and nobody like me, what's not fun about that?
You called today fun.
Maybe not fun, but good.
Big James is not having a good
His
time.
enemies.
I used to think how amazing it would be to see Messiah kill all the Romans on my street, and I wanted to help him. I trained every day with a wooden sword.
Yes, and I have this scar that proves he was pretty good.
I used to imagine that the Romans would break into our home and I would be hiding under the bed with a knife. And just when they came to get me, Messiah would rescue
So
me at
interesting.
the last moment.
Didn't think we'd be spending our time healing. Well, watching him heal.
Like the Romans are
They'll
the
never
enemy.
stop. The people come, the more they hear about it, and we're just going to be doing this the next 5 years. And we'll never get to the fighting part.
Just like what Nicodemus said, right? It's like,
Yeah.
you're here to free us from the Romans? Like, no, it's bigger than that.
Guess that's why the Pharisees do not think he is the one, Mary. You have to help clean up the Red Quarter first.
I don't think he's waiting for us to be holy. I think he's here because we can't be holy without him.
Whoa. Write that down.
That's good.
It's good.
Does everyone want to use that?
One thing that is annoying me though is these people, they are believing in him and praising him, and don't get me wrong, that's great, but it's because he's healing them. The Samaritans.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he said. That's all they needed.
Yeah.
I just don't know how many of them would believe in him if he wasn't healing them.
Okay.
I mean, why hasn't he healed you? How do you watch all these healings today? Does it bother you?
I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about all of this.
Wow.
I mean, I suppose one big thing is that I haven't asked.
Okay.
Why not?
I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. You know, and I suppose
Get
I've
that?
just been grateful that he called me to follow him in spite of it, but
Wow.
it's never come up, not even once. I'm just afraid that if I mention it
Wow,
to
this
him,
is
he will
so real.
change his mind about me or something.
It's so
Oh,
interesting
his
how,
mom
like,
was there.
it's happening in real time. Like, even the tents were being built when they first came here. They were bare.
So, was today a very long day? I saw a lot of people. Simon told me to come back here. Do we know when Jesus will be finished?
We walked here from Philippi this morning and he hasn't stopped since then.
Speaking of work, I see the food. You look exhausted. I'm here to help.
Okay, Ema.
I'm ready very, very soon.
The sunset's been going on forever. Did you notice?
You never think about the work. But yeah, where have you been, Simon? But you never think about the work that it takes to be. Yeah, like you never thought about what they did. But it would be very administrative and like keeping the order and stuff like that. There's crowds everywhere, right?
I've never had much money my whole life, and I've been happy.
I don't expect we'll have much money for as long as we're following him.
But you have had some money before, yes? Are you happier now or then?
Ask Matthew.
I feel better now. I don't know if that means happy.
It's not polite to talk about personal money.
Just a question.
I feel like I need to not make any more mistakes.
How do you think I felt?
You must feel that every day. No?
Not anymore. We're all tired. Do you really want to hear all that?
Yes.
Oh.
Gosh, can you imagine being in a circle with Mary?
Well,
These are good questions.
nothing about it was easy. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
When Joseph handed him to me, it was like nothing I expected. It was like everything I'd heard about having a baby, but I thought this would be completely different. I had to clean him off, and he was cold, and he was crying.
Wow.
So humble.
He needed my
In a
help.
manger.
Wow.
My help.
Wow.
A teenager from Nazareth. It actually made me think for just one moment. Is this really the Son of God?
It's fair.
He doesn't need me anymore. Not since we taught him how to walk and eat. And after Joseph passed, may he rest in peace. He grew up even quicker. And I wish I could say that made me happy. Of course, as a Jew, I'm excited to see everything he does for our people, and I'm proud of him. As a mom, it makes me a little sad sometimes.
I really want to be a good student.
I don't think any of us went to Bet Midrash or did much study after school. What's so surprising about all this?
Hey, I wasn't even good at praying until recently. I would get bored with it.
I love how they're able to just go right into the conversation.
I learned to love it.
They don't even have the full context. They
I
just.
didn't relate to any of it when I was a student.
I wasn't either. I didn't like all the rules.
I never struggled with it.
I don't get it, if I'm honest. I don't know why God has allowed the occupation. I'd have to ask him more about that. Why this has been allowed for so long.
But it's all worth it now, yes? The wait is over.
What about you?
For generations.
Has it been difficult for you all this time? The occupation, following Jewish law.
My life has not been easy.
Oh, it hasn't. What was more painful for you? Escaping Roman persecution by working for them, or escaping your guilt with all the money? Mary had horrible trauma. She didn't choose all that happened to her. What's your excuse?
What do you want me to say? An apology? What? Simon's not wrong. He could be more delicate about it, but you did choose to work for them.
No, don't say it. I don't want you to apologize. It doesn't matter. What would hearing him say sorry do? I won't forgive it anyway.
What keeps putting you in authority? Who are you to forgive or not to forgive?
What, you're on his side?
No, of course not, but you've had your problems too.
What is your excuse? I was a successful businessman and yet I was always
He
behind.
wasn't your tax collector.
You quit defending him. I want an answer.
Hey, you're new.
Do you even know what it's like to be Jewish? To suffer for centuries and centuries because of it, but to still commit to it?
to protect our heritage even though it never stops being painful, because the one comfort we have is to know that we're doing it together. And you betrayed that, and you spit on it! I can't forgive it. I'll never forgive it.
All right. You said what you needed to say.
He's finally done.
What's up, guys?
We did it! Healed all
Oh,
these
he
people.
is
Oh,
tired.
shoot. Huh.
Like, he knows exactly what's going on, right?
Yeah. Oh, he's human. He's exhausted.
How'd you get here?
Thank you.
Is he bleeding? I guess
May not be
maybe.
his blood.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It's interesting.
I'm a mess. Good. What would I do without you, Ima?
Get some sleep.
Okay. I'm so tired.
You sure he still needs her?
Yeah, I was thinking
Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe.
What the heck?
Wow.
I forgot about this episode.
That was really good. It felt like a play. Kind of like a... Just like a one-act play.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way
Like a
that...
really profound one.
Yeah, just the way that everybody had a little part to play there, and even the way that the conflict happened and rose to that point. It felt like it was on stage.
Mm-hmm.
That was really good. But yeah, no, there's a lot to unpack there.
I know.
I don't think we said a thing for like 20 minutes. Just like listening.
Yeah. Well, everything was so... Well, as is like for the rest of the series, but like everything was so intentional. Like every line, every conversation, every perspective, everyone's story, so relatable. Like not only their situations, but how they approach or don't approach God about it, or Jesus about it. Often I feel like this kind of reminded me of my small group, like the one that we had in Broadway. Like it was my first experience being in a small group, and people, got to a place where we were comfortable enough to like share like that, and like, oh, have you ever been through that? And it's just very nice community feel, and you can see everyone can relate to each other in some way, shape, or form. Until, I guess, Matthew. And it's interesting that Simon was quiet that whole time. And the only time he really spoke up and passionately was about Matthew. And obviously, they like harboring a lot of resentment towards him.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't know. I don't know how to fully put myself in his position, but like the more he was talking about it and seeing how other people were defending him too, it's like, wow, I guess he has like some really good points here, given, I don't know, like he's in his position, and I don't know what it's like, you know, like obviously they feel very betrayed by Matthew and feel like, you know, like, why do you deserve to be here? Like they don't understand God's grace, like God's mercy for Matthew.
What I got from that entire interaction, it was just highlighting how imperfect that group is, yet they're still in his presence. Like, yet they're still this close to him. So it's kind of like who we are. Like, they were the first small group, right? And I think even literally being side by side with Jesus as he's doing his miracles, they're still harboring those kinds of feelings, those doubts, those like there's an example of what is good here, but you're still trying to hold on to another notion before, and you're not fully surrendered. I think it's very human, and it's very much the struggle that a lot of Christians probably face, like dealing with one another. It's hard. It's a hard thing to do, to aspire to be like Christ. That's what we're called to do, but it's hard, right? So I think I think this was a cool illustration of that, because there was just like ebbs and flows of it, of like, I'm astonished by how amazing he is, but I have doubt. I'm like just the way that their conversation kind of went from that, like, look at all the people he's healing, but why not me? And like, you know, those kinds of things. I think they're like just all very real notes that, especially if you're like early on in your walk, well, I mean, anytime in your walk, you feel and you question. And I think it was a nice way to illustrate that it even happened to the people that he was closest to. I'm trying to place the significance of Jesus walking by at like the height of their conflict, and what was going off in their head.
I think for me, well, I don't know, I can't fully wrap my head around it yet, but like, it's just such a contrast. It's like, there they are, kind of bickering, and at like you said, like the height of like this heated conversation, and then in comes Jesus, the example of who they're supposed to be, like someone who is like, obviously, like they all have this reverence for Jesus, even though they don't fully understand. I don't know, like while Jesus, God is like out there doing miracles. Like, this is amazing. Like like what they were saying before in the beginning. Like, what is happening right now?
Yeah,
like, are we really part of this? Like,
what are we a part of?
Incredible. And then later on, like, as Jesus is doing his thing, doing all these miracles, they are obviously like, they're tired. They're also serving in their own way, but they're tired and they're exhausted. And it's really easy to, I guess, like, as being very human, to be like, to selfishly think about you, like,
okay, I'm seeing it now.
Oh, I'm so tired. Meanwhile, Jesus is friggin' exhausted. Like, dude, is way worse off than any of them combined.
And that's
he's
his response.
Out there, and he's just like, he just comes back and he's tired. He's not bothered with, you know, what you're talking about right now. And then also with Mary coming in, like, them seeing that example, like, they all heard Mary's story of like, I guess Jesus doesn't really need me as much anymore, but then they see that, you know, there are still some instances where Jesus needs her. And just like the act, you know, like the foot washing is such an act of humility. And just the contrast of like, wow, what are we, like, we're here arguing about this, and then we have Jesus who's shown all of us so much grace. We've watched him show grace to each of us, experienced it ourselves, see him do it for others, and he's exhausted. And it's just like, wow, what are we doing?
No, for sure. I think that there's a lot of that, and I don't know, Jesus is just like through and through the example. Right, like, he was in this episode for like 2 minutes, and even in those 2 minutes, I think he showed such a great example for the disciples, because he was tired, he was exhausted, and what he was doing was humbling. But literally the first thing he does after he is exhausted is he prays. Right, like, it's when he's weary, like, that's when he needs to communicate the most. And I feel like that's another example of something that they weren't doing. Right, they're tired and they start complaining to each other, and they start talking instead of kind of just being grateful for what they have. And I think that was a nice kind of like that really succinct response of like, so good. Just like, of exhaustion.
Exhausted, but still has so much gratitude.
Like, this is what matters. Like, and it's just kind of, they see it right away, and I think that's really cool. I think there's still going to be a lot of things that they need to settle amongst themselves, especially Like there were lines being drawn right there.
Yeah.
And of course,
For
it's a very powerful and strong feeling that they have towards tax collectors. So it'll be a really great dynamic to watch unfold and kind of see, because I don't know how much of this was ever captured, but if this was all creative and all just like pure writing, I think it was brilliant. Because there were just so many depictions of Christian life in all of their responses. And I think that was really, really cool. But I mentioned it quickly during the reaction, but if the relationship dynamic between Mother Mary and Jesus is like this, and just kind of like like just like in memories, oh my goodness, I don't know what it's gonna be like during the Passion. So it's gonna be, and I don't even know if that gets covered in the next couple episodes or season. I have no idea. It seems like they're far from it, but who knows? Yeah, so it's interesting.
Yeah, I love the commentary too about like everyone's walk in their faith journey as a Jew. Because you have people who are like brand new, people who are like coming back to the faith. You have some people who've been in it their whole lives and can memorize the Torah. But you can see there are different levels to like there's knowledge, but then there's wisdom, and then there's also application, and like just to see different contrasts. Like I don't know. Like at the end of the day, I feel like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how new you are to the faith, or
and if
whatever.
anything, there might be some uneducating that has to happen for, especially like this is all new, like at this time, which is why like when Mary Magdalene was talking about, she's like, it's so easy for me because I wasn't schooled. I was away from like Jewish life for so long, like all of that was gone for me, and all I have is him now. So it was so easy for me to just kind of accept.
And I'd go as far to say is I don't know because of that or what, but like she has way more wisdom. Like some of the things she was saying, I was like, "Oh, Mary, that was good."
Philip said it too. He's like, "Oh,
yeah,
I gotta write that down." I tell John about that one. Yeah.
Whereas you have Simon talking about how like like the sacrifices and the suffering that you have to go through as a Jew, and what keeps you going is the fact that you're all suffering together. You're all doing it together. But then he feels he could never forgive. Like, like that's just so profound. Or even like Big James, like how he knows so much of the Torah, but he's like willing to kill people. So like they just have like a different. This just wasn't what they were expecting.
No,
when the Messiah came. Whereas Mary sees it.
And it's that piece, right? They've literally been educated about it in one way. And then they wholeheartedly believe he's Messiah, but it's just so not what they were taught at all. Like it's what they've memorized, it's what they grew up on, we're told. So I don't blame them for being like for questioning.
For sure.
Right, and it is a whole uneducation piece, because that's exactly what they're doing with everyone that they're encountering, right? And it'll take time. Like I feel like, sure, Mary was kind of like converted or whatever, not converted, but like she adopted this belief very easily, it seems, but it takes time. It does take time. Like I feel like the fact that they said, yes, I'm following you, I believe, is a huge step, especially with all the past education and belief that they've had before.
Whereas she's learning it straight from Jesus and on.
So like, even her perspective when studying Torah should be super interesting. It's like different from like what can she learn from them, because it's at a point where it's just kind of like they're reciting out of memory. Whereas now she gets to learn those words with Jesus and his teaching, and the understanding that God is spirit, and it's not a physical place, and you can worship him and all of that, like wherever you are. Like that is the understanding that she's coming to those words with, which is what we get to do now.
Yeah.
So I think that's another just kind of portrait of, you know, a Christian.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like she's actually learning about the Torah with Jesus's context.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas
everybody else,
they have to relearn that, or like you said, unlearn and relearn.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know how engaging this reaction was because we were probably just listening to the conversations just as much as you were, but hopefully you enjoyed that one. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on before we wrap this one up?
Oh, I'm sure there's so much more that we could talk about.
Yeah. Throw it in the comments. You can always do that.
Yeah.
No?
But yeah. No, I feel like we covered the points that are most, I don't know, poignant to us right now, but for sure there's so much in there. There's so much commentary in there about faith, and you said like the Christian walk.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't really, I think it just goes to show like you can't judge anyone's walk.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately Jesus is the example.
Yeah. I feel like it's so easy and so human to do.
Yeah.
Regardless of like what your faith is. Okay. Well, I mean, this sets up a lot of really interesting relational pieces moving forward. So, will be really interesting to see how Matthew is treated over the next few episodes, because, I mean, he has allies in Philip and Rama and Mary, even Big John. He might not be an ally, but he's like very, like he's defending him because of what they're trying to do. So, I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, hopefully you enjoyed that one, and we will see you for the next episode. Peace.
Bye.